the latest top tips, reviews and advice, please subscribe below.
Hello and welcome to Outdoors Outdoors with me, Mike. Today I'm giving you guys a bit of a review video on a brand new tent from Vango. This here is the Aether 450 and 600 XL. So what I've got with me here is the 450 size. We've also done a inflatable version of this tent in the 600 size. So the joys of this means that you can compare and contrast the sizes from one to the other and also the poles. So between the two videos, you've pretty much got the whole range in a nice little nutshell. Pretty much how we're planning to do it in terms of our indoor display showroom. The Aether basically is a bit different to what else has been on the market recently because it comes in kind of Vango's Earth collection. So their Earth collection is basically made from recycled materials. So what they've done is they've taken single-use plastic and managed to create tent fabric out of it, meaning it's more eco-friendly and you've got a whole sort of cycle that rubbish, rather than going to the tip or going to the dump, whatever you want to call it, is basically then reused, actually used for something that people can get joy out of, which is a big thing. It's something they've sort of technology they've had for numerous years now, and they did a range about 10 years ago with this, but it's a bit more before its time and quite costly. It's back for 2021 going forward, but the difference being that there's a lot more on the money with price point. There's not really much of a difference in terms of what you'd pay for a non-eco tent versus an eco tent, and that's one of the big things that you don't have to suddenly. It's not a premium to be efficient, if that makes sense. So the joys of it, actually, to be fair, is something like this tent itself. We'll use, if we use it in sort of bottle terms, you're looking at essentially 124 bottles would basically make up mass majority of this tent. So the sort of fly sheet and the inner tent, that's the part that's all recyclable. So about 60% of the tent is basically made from reused materials. The way it works is they take a bottle like so, bake it down and basically into little sort of pellets. The pellets then basically get produced into, and it's screwed into sort of thread. Thread then gets put into fabric material, fabric into tent. So that's kind of the loop, and that's how it kind of works. So you've got this whole cycle from something that's waste into something that's going to, win on the campsite in many ways. The large version, which is a 600, runs about 203 bottles. So I'm not surprised. I mean, I've got 124 here hanging on the wall. And to be fair, it's not actually that much. I thought it'd be a lot more than that, but if you probably equate to maybe you've got a recycling bin, the big green bin at home, 2 of those would probably make one of these tents. And that's the big thing. It's all about being eco-friendly, and that's kind of what Vango have been very much about for the last few years, and this kind of cements that range. So what they've also done is they've used recycled cardboard for obviously to ship it in, even thing like taking a plastic bag out of the tent that was inside the recycled cardboard. All these things do equate to a big difference, and that's kind of thing we want to achieve, really. So like I said, in this range you've got a 450 or the 600. I see it more orientated to a sort of 4 berth, small families, or the 6, a happy sized family of 4, or 5 or 6 up to that way. You've got a really smart Moroccan blue fabric, and I think it looks incredibly sharp. And I've noticed also as the sun changes, almost changes shade, but I think it sits really well, looks very premium, and that's sort of followed up with a lot of features. This will fit in between some of the exclusive collection, the likes of the Stargrove and Alton, and lower than sort of the Azure and Rome. Basically, it sits between that range, so you've got a lot of features built into this that you don't have with that kind of exclusive collection, but I think from value for money it works even better. So we're talking a 70 denier fabric, 3000mm high straight heads, are very waterproof, but it's got colour lock built into it. So you've got a kind of UV inhibitor into it, and what you also find that is it's colour lasts longer, as well as the consistency of the weave in comparison to other 70 denier fabrics. It just kind of gives a bit more rigidity to it. Fiberglass poles, very simple and easy, and they're all colour coordinated for you as well. So there's 3 different colours. You've got black, grey, and then blue, and little tabs located down on the pole sleeve. So blue at the front, grey at the back, and it makes it easier when you're pitching it to know what pole goes where. As you can see from our own at-walls pitching and packing videos, I've pitched this model on my own, and it took me the best part, I think, about 15-16 minutes. It means that something you can take away sort of this sort of size away for a week or a weekend, and it doesn't make a difference, and as the versatility, there are a lot of internal space. Other things to bear in mind, you've got beautiful clear crystal PVC windows to get that sort of light in, but then you've got privacy curtains to get that level of privacy when you want to. Low level ventilation as well helps with a good circulation of air to sort of, again, help fight condensation on the inside of it, but also what you find is that it makes it a little bit cooler, and that's kind of, again, what you find with the front and side mesh doors. So again, you don't really, it's sort of branching that gap between, you don't have that in the Stargrove range. To be fair, you don't even have that in the likes of the Azura or the Rome. You normally got one. So this actually sits almost above that in that sort of spec. The side door itself can actually be doubled up, so you can either make it into a door, as we see here. There's a solid piece behind that mesh if you want to, but you can also buy some additional king poles and create almost a little canopy on that. So you can guide that out, create yourself a little bit of a shelter, and it just kind of gives you a bit more versatility. So we'll zip that down. You've got webbing and strap adjustment points on the bottom, so again you can get the proper amount of tension on the actual on the poles to make sure it's looking taut and it's sort of misshaped all nice and right. You've got these kind of pre-angle parts in the top here, and what that allows you to do is give you a more kind of boxy feel, so it makes the internal side of it feel bigger. So rather than sort of being like a 3 meter, when it arcs in it feels more like a 2.5, you know, a 3 meter feels more like a 3.5 from other brands, and that's one of the big differences. It's kind of a 2.5 zone tent, so sleeping, living, and then kind of this open canopy area at the front. Good sort of depth in the canopy area, and as we pan around in a second when we go inside, you can kind of sort of get a bit more of an idea for that, but gives you almost a perfect sort of area to sort of put your cooking unit in here, a bit of shelter away from the wind and the rain, just to do whatever you need to do in a night, so it works out quite nicely. But what we'll do, let's head on inside and talk for a few more features that the tent has to offer. So now we're inside the tent and we've got a bit more of a different angle. You can see kind of the depth of the canopy first and foremost, and also actually the depth of the living area is quite deep for a sort of a 4-person tent, if you will. So that depth, like I say, gives you enough coverage to put a table and chairs or a cooking unit in here. And what I do quite like is the kind of almost like offset door. So by having that sort of offset door, it gives you like a perfect sort of area naturally to put those units, and you're not sort of going straight away in your doorway. Again, you see crystal clear windows in the front as well to get that plenty of light in. And then when we go into the door section, pick it up, you've got this toggle up, toggle down entranceway. So you can, when you want to get the security when the door is kind of there, that goes like so. Alternatively, what you can do is then peg that down, and then suddenly you haven't got a trip hazard going into the actual tent itself. So for kids or drunken adults, that also is a bit of a benefit. The front door doubles up as a mesh door as well. So you've got, unravel it. So you've got a plain door like you see there, but then there's also a mesh part that rolls back. So that way you've got a nice sort of first line against sort of defence. I mean, this will be sort of your rain-safe door. So when it's chucking down with rain, you can walk through here quite happily, not have to worry about getting mud or muck inside the sleeping area, sorry, the living area itself. But it also just gives you, on a night time, you can have an airflow through the tent, even with a lantern on, without having to all the bugs and midges and everything else coming to join the party. And all you can then do is just sort of roll that back. It toggles back like so, and just kind of keeps everything kind of at bay. So on the whole tent, like I said, you've got nice big crystal clear windows when you want to, but also privacy curtains when you don't. Let's change that a little bit. Top and then bottom. Job's a good one. My fingers, don't fail me now. So the curtains on the side can actually just, like I said, you've got different points. You can go halfway or fully up. So they're just toggle up curtains. So again, you've got a halfway point, which is just located here. So you've got a bit of light coming through, but also coverage. Alternatively, taken fully up to the top, and then you've got complete privacy working away. Beneath the point there, you've got a ventilation panel as well. So again, it just means that you can have help with an airflow like we saw on the outside beneath the windows. Just that sort of help fight condensation, but just trying to make it a bit more of a fresher and nicer place inside of here, really. Just do a bit of a rush job on that one. Bum, bum, bum. As a 4-person tent goes, it's quite sizable. I mean, this kind of area here is really quite big. You know, you happily have a table and chairs in here. I would say it easily accommodates a kind of a family of 4 quite happily, you know. So if you were looking on more sort of a a very comfy tent for couples, I think this ticks kind of a really big box. And again, the pack size isn't that big, but the internal space here, which is very key for when the weather turns and you're ever situated with whatever area you got inside, especially with young ones, keeping them entertained, it's a big bonus. So as we sort of work our way back, we've then got the side mesh door, which we saw on the outside. So you've got a mesh panel in there as well to allow that airflow going through, but the ground sheet sort of lips up a little bit more just to give that bit more security against kind of the elements. In the back section, we've got kind of the nightfall bedroom, so it's a nice sort of dark fabric, hopefully to keep the kids or yourself in bed a bit longer, not going to wake up at the crack of dawn as soon as the sun comes up. You've got Vango's TBS system, so it's a tension band system designed to give a bit more internal stability on those windier days, so it creates a triangle formation from the top out with the guide ropes and then basically braces the internal shape of it. So when you've got a wind coming from one way, coming through that way, this point kind of almost anchors it completely in place. If I'm being honest, 95% of people have probably never used them, let alone actually know they exist. But it's something they've used in the kind of high-end backpacking tents and something it's better to sort of have and not need and need not have. And I quite like the orange kind of colour as well. It makes it pop in kind of the Moroccan blue fabric. So the sleeping parts actually on the 450 are quite generous. You've got 140 deep by 210, so really big, a little toggle divider. When you go to 600 XL, it breaks it down into 3 sections, I believe. You have to check in the link below to just get confirmed. But then again, you're 120 per person, so it's a little bit bigger. So overall width of the tent is 3 meters for the 4 or 380 for the 6. So again, check out our website for more information on the sizing of everything. Okay, let's throw it. Now, back into the bedroom scenario as well, you've also got storage pockets on either side as well. So it means it's a perfect place to put things like a keys or a phone or even sort of a torch. So that way you wake up in the middle of the night, you can easily locate where it's going to and then go out the door to do your business if you need to. Other things to bear in mind is where you've got hanging points for lanterns, so located one in the middle here, and then little Velcro tabs leading down to a cable entry point on the right hand side down here. In theory, you can use the left hand side for a cable entry point as well, just for the door, because there's almost like a little lip that you can just feed it through. You've also got another hanging point here for a lantern, and again, I believe one here as well. So joys of it, you can sort of be very versatile in the way you do things, and if anyway, almost like a flexible light heading down the middle of the tent, shining light directly down. Overall, I think it's a really popular model. It's going to be, and the joys of kind of the colour and the story behind kind of being, more eco-friendly, I think is a big bonus. But let's pick up the camera now. Let's head inside, and we can actually have a bit more of a look round it to familiarise ourselves with it all. Right. So, also you can see obviously the lip down there works really well. Thank you, Archie. But you've got that sort of window scenario. Low level ventilations on sort of those panels as well. It's going to help with the airflow itself. But it's when you get inside, you've almost got like a 360-degree sort of view around everything. So it means that if your kids are sort of on the campsite playing or somewhere, you can quite happily, sort of accommodate them. But if I come back into the bedroom scenario, you can see actually there's quite a lot of depth in there, to be fair. And in the darkness of the bedroom, works quite well. You've got a vent at the top as well, and also vents down the left-hand side and right-hand side to allow with airflow. And like I said, that condensation word is a big thing. And then the toggle divider, so you can sort of take this in and out as you please. So you can nice and versatile when it comes to that sense. Storage pockets, like I said, located down either side, quite neat and tidy, and then the cable entry point down the bottom there. But I think overall, in terms of a tent, it sort of ticks many boxes from appearance sides, as well as just kind of, when you look at what you get for what you pay, I think it actually works at very good value. And obviously with the fact that you're sort of reusing, single-use plastics that essentially won't be single-use anymore with this kind of scenario, I think it just, wow, it works. And I like the story about it, the design of it, the size of it. I think the proportion sizes are really good as well. So I think it's quite unique. There is another model in the range called the Duro. Duro is sort of an enclosed front, which also is worth a look. Very similar to the kind of Star Grove, but again, with the additional mesh doors and sort of kind of the better fabric, I think kind of it's almost like a better buy than that. It's well, exclusive collection, unless it's purely down to price. Still got the same sort of warranty, so you're talking a 2-year, if not 3-year warranty when you register it with Vango. But a model I think that is also going to sort of revolutionise camping in many ways and make us more eco-friendly with the products that we're using going forward. So really good model, one to look out for on the campsites, and also have a look at our shop. For any more questions or queries, you can always check in the link below or comment below. We can always answer for you. But that's kind of our video review on the Aether 450 600 XL.